What's up, everybody? Another wonderful Monday night at Chewin the Barbecue Fat. Y'all, I am so excited. This little series thing we've got going on with the chicken and the ribs, pork now this week, brisket next week. I'm telling you what, it's been awesome. We've had a lot of great feedback, a lot of good things going on with the show. Thank you all for liking it. Thank you all for watching it. Thank you so much. People like y'all just continue to make this show better and better and better. It makes it to where I can get better and better guests. I have the best guest of any show out there, hands down, bar none. This is the best show on the internet. We love competition barbecue, and I hope you see it. Jason Hardy, you got a great one too, buddy. But anyway, man, I just tell you what, so much cool things have been going on. So much is happening here at the Atlanta Barbecue Store. It's been busy. We do have a fine swine brine back in stock. We will have smoked this barbecue sauce. Not a fine swine. Sweet brine of mine. Thank you, babe. She's always here to keep me on my toes. I tell you what, where would I be without my bride? I don't know. Lost. Sweet brine of mine and injection and smoke this sauce
will be in stock.
Will be in stock soon.
Probably tomorrow.
So if you're looking for those products, which you probably should be, they will be in soon. Get them on the site. Here we go. Also, the website is up for the Atlanta Barbecue Store Classic. It is working now. Sorry for all the problems we've had. We're good. We're trying to do this. You think that we know what we're doing since we do have an online barbecue store. But hey, we're learning. We're trying to get better every day just for y'all. Should be seamless. It really is. We're starting to see it. Hopefully you've signed up. I know we're getting signups every day coming in. So get on there, get in the class, get in the contest, come see us, and it's going to be a great time. But we got to get going. God, there's been so many barbecue contests this past couple weeks. I hope you've all done well. Very proud of everybody. A lot of our sponsor teams are doing really well. Keep it up, everybody. Way to go. All right. Yes, you did, Lincoln. Thank you so much. But before we get going, guys, I am sorry. We've got a huge show tonight. We're talking pork, one of my favorite categories, and I can't wait to learn from the best tonight. But before we do that, if you want an opportunity to cook and you're looking for somewhere to go cook or be a judge, Mark, what is going on?
Good evening.
How are you doing tonight?
We doing all we can.
That's all you can do. I tell you what, I love it. I love a show when I got my man Mark hanging out of his truck window, talking barbecue contests. It's going to be a great night. What's going on? What you got?
A lot of people wouldn't believe it. I just got through working, so I'm actually.
Well, we don't believe that.
A lot.
What you got going on? You texted me, said, "Can I have 5 minutes to be on the show?"
Well,
of course, the answer is yes. What's happening?
Everybody knows this weekend, Brandon, Mississippi, we have I think it's our 12th annual Hog Wild Cook-Off. As of now, we have 31 teams signed up. We still have plenty of space, plenty of power, plenty of water. Our pot's going to be at 18,700. So it's almost doubled from last year. So I expect it to be a good turnout. Got a lot of good teams signed up. So we want to see everybody in Brandon, Mississippi this weekend.
I hope they come. Did I see something about judges? If somebody wants to be a judge, they can go to a judge's class?
Yes, I've been I don't know about a class. I've actually been working on that today and added a lot more. I don't know what the reason was that it's nothing to do with COVID, but I mean, actually, and it could be the signing up on the website or whatever, but I've actually been on the phone with a lot of judges today. So that's picked up a whole lot, but still, if there are any judges that want to sign up and judge in Brandon this weekend, all they have to do is contact me, or they can go through the Kansas City barbecue page and sign up to judge.
Perfect. How can somebody sign up for your contest?
Well, we have our Facebook Hog Wild Barbecue Festival Facebook page. You can go there, and we have a Google Doc that you can open up and sign up right there and submit it, and we'll get it and get right back with you. But like I said, for judges, if anybody needs to sign up for that, of course, go to the Kansas City barbecue page and click on the contest, and it'll take you into where you need to sign up, or just contact me. My phone number will be 757-1772.
There it is. You heard it from the man himself. If you missed it, go back tomorrow, watch it, go back and play this live. You'll hear it. But yeah, that's awesome, Mark. I'm so proud to see what you're doing with this contest. I hope you get to at least 35, get it to where you're just killing it, doing great things. Love what you're doing for barbecue, and proud of you, man.
Well, I'm actually 12, like I said, 12th year. I'm helping put this together this year, and then I'm kind of going to step down. I'm planning on cooking this contest for the first time in 12 years.
Awesome. Way to go. Well, good, Mark. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is there anything else you got?
That's it. Everybody get on there and get signed up, and we'll see y'all this weekend.
Sounds good. Hope they do it, buddy. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for everything, buddy. Thank you for being a fan of the show.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one. All right, dude. I love it. I love having these opportunities and bringing it in. If you have a show, if you have a contest that you want to push, reach out to me. I will get you on the show. We can get it out there, get as many people as possible, and have you on the show. All right. Enough of all that. Enough of me talking. Enough of all this other kind of stuff. Y'all are here for the show. The show is going to be about these three guys that I'm bringing in. They know more about pork than anybody. If you go look at the KCBS standings, you can see who's the who of barbecue and pork. And here they are. Aaron Surfer, thank you for being a commenter. Even though you've commented many times before, thank you so much for coming on and being on the show. All right, this is in no particular order. I'm going to bring in Levi. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for all the way from Colorado, right? We got John Wade. How you look at him? He's just all fired up. How you doing?
Hey, what's up there? Thanks for having me on the show, Brian.
Oh man, I'm just honored to have all y'all on the show. And then my man Ercole, how you doing, buddy?
All right, how you doing?
Great. Everybody knows who y'all are, but we're gonna pretend like they don't. So Levi, go ahead and introduce yourself, tell your team name, where you're from, all that kind of good stuff.
Levi Stokes. I'm from Windsor, Colorado. Colorado Bulldawg Barbecue.
Awesome. What do you cook on? What kind of pit do you cook on?
I cook on a Jambo.
Jambo. Awesome. Ercole, who are you?
Hey, I'm Ercole Chila from Uncle Pig's Barbecue Pit.
Reigning.
Paulsboro, New Jersey. Reigning 2022 KCBS Team of the Year champ. I cook on three cans, a Traeger, and a Deep South.
Awesome. Where are you from?
Paulsboro, New Jersey.
I think you said that. My bad. John?
All right, I got you.
Hey, I'm John Wade with Optimus Swine from Williamsburg, Virginia. We cook on an Outlaw pit and a Bullseye, Rectech Bullseye.
There it is, sitting right beside you. That's awesome. There you go.
Yeah, it cooks dinner and everything for me.
I tell you what, man, you got to set wherever you're at, you got to set up. I love it. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into pork. Let's talk about everybody's favorite category. So, first off, John, I have a feeling I know this answer, but what kind of pork are you cooking?
Oh, Prairie Fresh Prime.
Shocker.
USA Prime.
Got a sticker right there off your left shoulder showing that off, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Why do you go with prime instead of the natural or whatever?
Well, first of all, the Prime product comes to me fresh every time. So I like I can see a kill date and a box date on there. Also the marbling is consistently heavy through, and I buy the 2-packs, which have a nice thick fat cap on there. From time to time, we'll see somebody in the butcher room getting trimmed or something like that. But yeah, that's why I stick with that product.
Great. Good answer. Levi, what are you cooking?
I mix it up between Prairie Fresh and Comparts.
Okay. Wow. All right. Interesting. Can you tell us the difference in the two?
It's the Comparts. I use more of the whole butts of Prairie Fresh just for the collars.
Okay. All right. We're gonna get into that in a little bit. Ercole?
I use Prairie Fresh ribs from John. And I actually, for pork butts at this point, I'm still up in the air. I use a lot of commodity pork right off the supermarket shelf. Sometimes it's Prairie Fresh, sometimes it's Hatfield. We're in the process right now of getting into it with Liddy's for a sponsorship. So they're going to send me some product to try out. So we'll be trying that out soon.
Get in touch with who?
Liddy's, I think it's called in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Liddy's?
Yeah. Leedies.
Liddy's.
Leedies. Yeah.
I know he's pronounced that wrong.
Yeah. It's a solid pork company. Pennsylvania Amish
Yep.
pork.
So they reached out to me and they said they want to sponsor a barbecue team. And so they're going to give us a shot.
There
So
you
we'll
go.
see how that works out.
So, John, what do you do? I've noticed when you come to a contest, you just have a trailer load of pork collars with you because everybody knows, like, I'm going to go see John, see if he has any extra pork collars to go pick up. So what's your trailer like when you go there?
Well, so my brother and I own a butcher shop here in Williamsburg, and as well a barbecue restaurant. We're called Two Drummers. The two of us were active musicians prior to our cooking careers. But yeah, the demand for pork is there, quality pork. We buy a lot, and we go through it and try to get teams hooked up with the right stuff. Most of the time I come with like 60 racks of ribs and 40 pork collars or somewhere in that neighborhood that we cut ourselves. We don't cut the ribs, but we cut the collars. And I usually end up cooking whatever didn't get taken. I wish I could have the time to cherry pick everything, but I mean, I really just don't. We're 7 days a week, so I just take whatever's in the cooler.
That's awesome, man. Levi, how many are you bringing? Are you bringing 60 or 70 pork collars with you to a contest?
3 or 4.
There you go. There you go. Perfect.
I'm jealous.
Jealous. All right. So this seems to be the big question of pork, right? Like, are you just sticking with pork collars? Are you only turning in money muscle? I mean, it has changed. I think if anything has changed drastically over the past 2 years, pork is probably that category that is all over the board. Do you turn in tubes? Do you turn in bacon? Are you cooking a whole? Like, what are we doing here? So I guess that's my first question is, what is your mindset for a pork box? When you're going in, when you leave to go to a contest, what do you think in that pork box is going to look like? Or do you even think about that and you just wait for the meat to talk to you? This is new to me. I've learned in the past couple of weeks that meat talks to everybody. So are you just waiting for it to talk to you and tell you what to put in the box? Or what are we doing here? Like, Levi, what do you think your pork box is going to look like when you get to a contest?
I'm at the point now after this mini contest, it's whatever's the best it's on the board is going in the box. I used to try to figure out how to design it, and what I would end up doing is having a really cool design and cool looking box with a lot of bad meat in it. So I just kind of whatever's the best and I throw it in the box.
So when you say the best, all right, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. If y'all don't want to answer this, you don't have to, but please do what you want to do. Are you cooking for money muscle? Are you cooking for bacon? Are you cooking for tubes? Are you cooking for all the above? Are you cooking for other meat, other parts of that pork butt? What are y'all trying to accomplish when you start your cook process? Ercole, I'll let you ask that one.
I go for
I'll go ahead, Ercole.
I usually go for the money muscle. I start off with the money muscle and work my way around.
Okay.
Once I get that right, I mean, if I get that right, then I could do a lot of things with that money muscle as far as turning in other pieces on the money muscle.
So you can turn chunks or something, or cubes or whatever you want to do.
Whatever. So if the money muscle is right, then you can work out everything else. Like bacon, sometimes you really got to be. What I've realized this year is bacon doesn't work as much as it used to last year. For me, I'm not sure about everybody else, but I'm every time I turn it in, it's the same exact thing as it was last year. They're having, I think, issues with tenderness. I think they think it might be too tender. If I go the other way, I still get a tenderness issue. So I just kind of leave that out nowadays. I kind of bypass that for a little bit. And, everything runs its course for a little while. And for me, I think bacon has ran its course this year. So now I had to find something else in that pork to do it. So I still cook kind of like a 4-pound deal. So I have more to choose from.
Okay. Interesting. Levi, what were you going to say?
I cook three monies just for the monies, and then I cook 2 butts for everything else. So I keep them separate and just kind of go either way.
So would you say everything else you cook a whole bone-in butt, or are you cooking?
Yeah, I cook 3 separate monies, and then I'll cook 2 whole bone-in butts.
Okay. So are you looking for
with
what
the
are you
money
looking for?
semi-attached to them.
What are you looking for in that whole butt?
On one, I'm usually on one I'm shooting for the bacon, and on the other one I'm shooting for the tubes.
Okay.
I've yet to master being able to get both out of the same one.
I don't think it's possible. I know people do. I know some of my friends say that it's very easy to do. I don't see how you do it. John, what about you?
I'll be honest, I come to the contest hoping that I'm going to turn everything into the box. When we first started out, it was the first call we ever got was a pork call. And that was when the hooks got into us. And it became that category that after that, we never could get a call again. And it was dreaded. And we took the barbecue league, videos pretty seriously and started learning how to isolate. We're barbecue guys, so we're like, hey, let's get this volume and put a bunch of food in the box. And then it got to the point where we were turning in a box that might weigh, 8 ounces or 10 ounces. And now we're back to the point where we're turning in, 3-pound boxes because we just really want to wow the judges. And if not every piece is going to wow us, we're not going to put it in the box. But I'm shooting for bacon tubes, money muscles, and chunked money muscles, the whole bowl of wax.
That's awesome. So, and you're still scoring well with it, right? Well, great. All right, so let's go to. So now that we have that under control, we know what we're shooting for when we get to a contest. When we get to a contest, everything's, I'm sure, already trimmed, ready to go. I heard somebody say, Levi, you talk about is partially trimmed. We'll get into that later if you want to or not. But what are your thoughts on injection, rubs? What are you trying to accomplish with your injection? I don't want to know recipes. Let's go ahead and say it. I don't need recipes. We don't need any of that stuff. Just what are you trying to get with flavor profiles out of your injection, and then your rubs, and what are you doing? Are you trying to do anything special to it to get it going? The day before, you wait until the day of. What's going on, John? What do you think?
So injections, I'm definitely a fan of injections. And I do day before on pork, I'm going to get as long as of a marinade process as I can in it. I'm going to get a balance of salty and sweet, and that's going to come mostly from soy flavor. And I think quite a few of the commercial pork injection products are heavy in soy flavor, and that's going to give the saltiness. And I think it kind of gives it a cool, I don't want to say Asian vibe, but because that's stupid, but I think it just gives it a little bit more flavor. And I think the more flavor you can get inside the pork, the better. And then I'm looking for some sweet, I'll get some syrup or agave or whatever you can inside it.
Okay, there you go, agave. Interesting. Ercole, what do you think with your? What are you trying to accomplish with your injection? If you inject, or do you brine?
Yeah, I do inject. What I try to do is I try to infuse it with a little bit of flavor, a little bit of, like you said, a little sweetness, a little bit of saltiness, and definitely moisture. I try to keep the moisture content really high when I inject, because I inject a lot. I don't give it one squirt. I pound it. And then with the rubs, I kind of want something that really melts smooth on the outside. I don't want it to be like, when you put too heavy of a rub on, it kind of like sort of chips off when you go to wrap it or whatever. It just sort of, you're looking at a piece of meat with no rub on it when you're done. So I feel the lighter you rub it with a little bit of a more sweeter rub, it sticks better, and it stays on through the whole process. That's what I like to do.
Nice. I like that. Levi?
I'm not using a pork injection. I actually use a different injection, and more or less just moisture and a little bit of sweet. On the outside, I'm going with my salt and my heat.
Okay. So you are injecting, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, but you're just okay. What do you think? Well, All right, so I have to ask you a question, Levi. Since you said you cook compart and prairie fresh, to me, compart pork, love the flavor, very good flavor, more of a distinct flavor than others. Do you treat that any different with your injections or anything, or are you just running the same recipes?
I run the same.
Okay. And if y'all are looking, I know, John, you said you really like the heavy marbled of the Prairie Fresh Primes. Do you notice that you have to inject more or less with something's more marbled or less marbled?
No, I'm like Urkel was saying, going for a little bit of moisture, just throw some more moisture in there. I cook really hot, probably hotter than a lot of other outlaw cooks are cooking. And I think that because of that, it's kind of coming back from my drum days. And I think because of that, I need a little more moisture that I'm going to be able to lose. So, I think, at the end of the day, I'm putting the same injection in every contest. And if I mess with it a little bit from contest to contest, it's just because I'm looking for a little based on what they said last contest.
Yeah, just get a little that extra oomph in there.
Yeah.
Do you measure how much injection goes in each money muscle or butt? Are you putting the same amount in every time? Urkel, are you putting the same amount in every time, or is it just by feel, whatever that money muscle takes, or
So
that butt takes?
when I start injecting, I start injecting it, from tip to tail. Where I go like 3 rows of shots, but I go until it spews out. Because for me, when it's because I'm like John, I'm cooking pretty hot. It's gonna come out. It's not gonna. There's no pockets in there nowhere. So but you want to keep that in there. You want to get as much in there as you can. But I don't have the pleasure of using any kind of good pork butts other than the ones I buy from the shelf, because I mean now I'm just starting to get some from John, but I don't have the Prairie Fresh here anywhere. I can't find them anywhere, so I'm going to like Jetro and them supply stores to buy my pork. So I really don't have an opportunity to get the good ones these guys are getting. So I have to I feel that I have to pound the money muscle into submission to get it to be juicy all the time.
And that's good. And that's what you found out. That's your process, right?
Mhm.
And I need to back up. Y'all know this is the Dollar General show of barbecue shows. I should have asked this to get started. What temperature are y'all cooking at? John, I know you said you cook hotter than most. That triggered it. And y'all are jamming 2 offsets and cans. So what kind of temperatures are y'all running when it comes to cooking pork?
I'm around 375, 350 in between the two.
The whole cook?
Yep. I cook on a 2660. It's a little bit smaller than a lot of the other guys have, like 2800, and the Jambo guys are in that same 28-inch range. And so I have to cook some of my meats on the bullseye, that being my smaller meats, which I learned how to do when we were cooking backyard. Did a lot of that drum cooking, and so it's kind of a similar style.
Great. Ercole, what you cooking at?
Well, I start everything off in the drums. Like my pork goes in the drum, and I cook 6 of them. So from the drum, I go to my deep south. I finish them off in that's basically my barbecue oven. I set it at temperature, and it just stays where I want it to be. And because sometimes if you get really busy running around and you're paying through that drum, it's going to run. And next thing you know, it's 400 degrees and shit's burning. So
Right.
I try to, once I get it to where I want to get wrapped, I wrap it and put it in the drum. I mean, in the deep south, and that's how I keep my eye on it. And that's about 325 for the drum and 275 to finish.
Perfect. Interesting. All right. So this is what I love. Well, go ahead, Levi. What temperature are you?
I'm somewhere between 375 and 4 1/4.
Oh, hot diggity. That's hot. He's got you hotter than you, John.
Man.
I know. I thought I was hot for a second there. I look in the mirror.
And I don't mess with the exhaust on or try to cool it off when I add sticks. I let it bounce 30, 40 degrees either way, instead of trying to chase a certain temperature.
This is awesome. I cook low and slow. If anybody cares, I'm a low and slow cook at 300. So compared to y'all. That's awesome. Very interesting, man. So this is what I love. This is what I've loved about this show, with all the different categories. And if anybody's ever watched it, you notice that there is not a right way of doing this. There is not a class you go take and you go there and say, I'm going to do this exactly to the T because this is the only way to do it. No, there are so many different ways to cook. And this is what I'm telling y'all, this is what I love about this show, is you can learn so much. There's not one way of doing it. Ercole is cooking low and slow over here at 325, which is hot. And then going down to 275. John, you're at 350, thinking that's hot. And then Levi's up here at 400, 4.25. I mean, it's great. And there's not a right or wrong way of doing this. Y'all are all killing it. What is your?
Ercole, I think your phone's going off. I think you got an alarm going off.
Yeah, that's my pork's done.
Pork's done. Yeah, I mean, Aaron, you're right. You're 100% right. It's all about hitting. What's up, pup? It's all about hitting the tenderness target and getting some good flavor on it. And Levi, I'm sure you've been doing this long enough that when you're at 450, 500, that is your.
Brian just froze.
Brian froze up. All right, so I'm gonna be able to host the show. So Levi, continue what you're saying.
Take it over.
We got to help Brian a little bit. So at 425, what happens? We lost our host.
If you've ever seen my Jambo, there's not a lot of paint on it. I spray it every week with a little bit of paint to try to keep the rusting down, but the whole back of it's.
Well, how long does it take you to cook a pork butt?
Pretty much gone.
How long does it take you to cook a pork butt at 425?
7.
8 minutes?
It goes on about 7, comes off at 11. Now we really do.
The alarm's going off again.
That's Brian telling us keep on talking. So after you, how many hours does it take to cook it?
It goes on about 7. It's done about 11:30. My money muscles about 4-ish.
So when
I do 2 hours on my money muscles. They go on at 9:30, and
that's when you cook them. You cook them separated. The money muscles from the pork butt, or is that how you do it?
They go on at 9:30. Yeah, they go on at 9:30 and come off at 11:30. 11:30 to 12.
That's really nice. We had your back, Brian. We got you. We got you covered.
Hey,
thank you. Did you get my text, Ercole?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I kept it going.
You're the man. Always need. Well, I should have mentioned that.
Co-host now.
When y'all come on, there's always a good chance you could be a co-host. You never know. You just never know. I think Ellen's streaming a couple of movies or
co-host.
something.
Co-host again, John. You're up.
So it looks like we got a question from Justin Holt. He'd like to know if everyone is cooking money muscles these days. And that's it. It looks like he wants to know if everybody's just separating the money muscles and cooking that by itself in the cooker. Ercole, how about yourself? Because I know that Levi is cooking 3 money muscles and 2 full butts.
I cook 6 pork butts in that drum. They are down to 4 pounds, but I cook 6 of them. I trim them down and I cook 6, and I cook them for the money muscle. And then I like I said, I always use the bacon. I always get it ready just in case. And it's always seems to be the right tenderness, but for this year, it hasn't hit as much. Like I used to put 3 different pieces of meat in the box all the time. Like I'll show you a box and it's full. Like you had. Yeah. I mean, it's full. It's got tubes. I mean, it's got bacon. It's got chunks. It's got money muscles. It's in there. And I got about 2 or 3 comment cards that says I wouldn't usually do that, but all 3 of your pieces of pork was excellent. And so I just kept it up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I cook a whole, I'm continuing to cook a 4-point-whatever-pound pork butt, just like we used to for the last few years, just because it's a security net. You've got tube meat and you've got bacon meat in case your money muscle just goes too far in the cook or too far in the hot box. You got something to fall back on.
So you think about it this way. How I think about it. When you get done and you wrap it and you put it in a hot box, when you do that, if you have just a money muscle, it's not going to hold all that heat. It won't. By the time you get to it, if it gets done early, it's going to get kind of that weird feeling on the outside of it. So that's why I put all 6 of them in there. I make it like a nice warm oven in there. It stays that way. I tried the money muscles in a little pan. That stuff didn't work out very well for me. That didn't work out.
That's awesome.
How about you, Levi? Ryan, you still with us, right?
I'm with you. Ryan?
I'm
just
okay.
Yeah,
He's
all right.
with us.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you was froze again.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
All
Keep
right.
going. I love it. Levi, yes, he's asking.
Ercole took over the show.
I love it. Glad he did.
What was that last question?
When you do
It
it,
was
you put yours
about
in
the
a
money
hot box
muscle.
too, and if you cook only money muscle, most of the time.
So I think the question is,
I cook 3 separate.
And when you put them in a hot box, they stay good, intact, and the outside stays nice and colorful instead of like a grayish color after a while.
No, I throw them all in the same tray in the Cambro with the butts and everything. So it's.
So you have enough.
I keep my Cambro pretty hot too. I mean, you can't just reach in there and grab a pan out of my Cambro. That's for sure.
Well, especially
I think like you're saying, Ercole, if you're just cooking 6, or 5, 4, whatever money muscles, you put those in there, you've got 3 pounds of meat. If you put 3 or 4 pound butts in there, you got 16 pounds of meat, and that's going to carry over. It's going to keep your hot box warm.
That's right.
And it'll keep your money muscle warm.
That's right. That's
and mine's only going to be.
That's exactly why I do it. That's why because I
minutes.
really don't use it all.
Right.
But you're putting yours in at 450 degrees, as they come off that smoke.
Yeah, well, he starts at 7 and then he goes at 9:30
for you.
So by the time they come off, it's about time to start boxing.
So I love it. So I mean, the question,
my
Levi, you just said you only hold yours for 45 minutes, right? So what's everybody else holding it for? I mean, that's a big
2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
Ercole, how long are you holding? The same?
So I put mine in on a smoker on a drum 7. I wrap them somewhere around 10. Then I fit them off like a little bit slower because I wanted to get done closer to 12-ish, 11:30-ish to when they're done. I mean, so at 11 o'clock on my trailer, it's like a Chinese fire drill. There's beepers going off everywhere, probing things, checking things. But that's the calm before the storms. I'm always prepared for that. And I don't want it to sit 3-4 hours. I'd rather, like Levi said, let it sit for maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't want the 2 or 3 hours sit. I'd rather not.
Okay. All right. So hopefully y'all can hear me, and hopefully I won't go out again. Ellen was streaming something, so I'm trying to get the streaming done, and maybe we'll be able to do something in here. But all right, so we've talked about injection. We've talked a little bit about rub. Are you rubbing overnight to try to bring some moisture out, bringing it back in? Are you doing it in the morning? Do you care? Are you going heavy? I know Ercole said you go really light with rub. Are you going heavy? What are you trying to accomplish with your rubs, and what are you doing, and why do you do what you do? John?
So like for instance, if you're doing hams, I know this is totally different. If you're doing hams, you're looking at multiple months in a curing process. You can get a ham cured a lot faster by pumping it and rubbing it with salt, So I feel like with the amount of flavor I need to get into that pork, I'm starting the day before my cook. I'm injecting and I'm rubbing the living daylights out of it. And it goes into a refrigerator, and I'm in the from everywhere marinade process at that point.
Nice. And then your rubs, what are you trying to accomplish out of the rubs? Are you trying to accomplish more of like a dry brine with them? Or are you trying to accomplish what flavor profiles are you going for without giving me the fact that you use Heath Riles rubs? Just some guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I used all Heath Riles on the pork program for sure. The only thing I haven't really been able to dial in 100% is to get away with for my brisket. But I've gotten to the point where 75 to 80% of my program is all Heath Riles products. And they've really, it's been fun to play with it because I'm really starting to dial in what I do, and I'm not just doing what I learned at a class. And so one of the things I'm really looking for is I'm looking for pop, not just sweet, because sweet is obviously what the judges are looking for. They want that sweet, sticky barbecue going on. But I need something that's going to just dominate, and I think it comes from garlic and jalapeno.
There you go.
So I start out with jalapeno, I put some other rubs on, and then I go on again with jalapeno. I mean, it's just kind of my thing. Paint it green, as I once heard.
There you go. Nice. Love that. Levi?
I'm seasoning the morning of. I've tried the overnight seasoning and it just gets too pasty and it builds up too much as hot as I cook. So I just run a light coat, more or less an SPG with a little bit of color. And then I hit it. Most of my flavor comes on the cutting board. So if I run anything with too much sugar on any of my stuff, it burns too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
At 700, I mean, I could see where that would happen. I mean, I'm 450, though. I could see where that would happen.
700.
That's brisket temperatures.
Yeah, John
That's
could do that.
brisket starter
That's for
temperatures.
next year.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Ercole, what about you, bud?
So, I mean, with my rubs, I go a little. I do. Like I said, I put them on at 7. So I start rubbing process at 6. I do a little heat. I do a nice thin coat of sweet, and I like it to melt. I don't want to see any granules of anything. I want it to be smooth, like it's barbecue sauce in there when I'm done it, because I don't like the crust just chips away too much for me. So the thinner I make it, the less cakey it is on there. And like Levi says, I do a lot of on the cutting board attacking on the flavor part of it, the outside of it, the face of it, barbecue sauce, all that has to come into play on the cutting board for me. And I guess Levi also. Yeah. I don't do overnight. I don't know why. I've never tried it. I just, back when I first, like 15 years ago when I did it, I tried that. And like he said, it got like mud. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. That doesn't look too good. And I couldn't cook it out. It wouldn't adhere. It would just chip off, like you said. So I said, I can't do that anymore. That was a lesson learned early for me.
I kind of pull a thought of, the rubs and the salt you put on it pulls the moisture out. And if I sat there on Friday afternoon and I injected a bunch of moisture, why am I going to put something on it that's going to pull it back out?
Yeah, I inject my stuff by everything for me has to be injected by before 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock on the day of, when we get there. I think Friday night, 5 o'clock. By 5 o'clock in the afternoon, everything has to be injected and has to be. And I load it, like I said, I load it up. I mean, I disperse it evenly, but I load it. All but chicken. Chicken's a different animal altogether.
I'm looking for the pork to start rejecting injection, and after that point, I know that I've gotten what I'm looking for. And then I know it sounds crazy, but then I go out after it and I load up the rubs, and the next morning I go to pull my pork butts out of that pan that's got just a minimal amount. I mean, maybe a cup of liquid has come out, but yeah, I mean, I put a lot in there, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 ounces of liquid goes into all 4 of my butts.
You mean 30 per butt or 30 total?
30, yeah, total. So
okay,
somewhere in the neighborhood of about a cup in each butt. I'm putting about a cup of injection.
Yeah, me too. I fill it. I don't fill it one spot, but I fill it.
Oh yeah,
it's coming out. It looks like a rain. It's like a fountain when I'm done with it.
Yeah, we got the splash zone in our trailer. Like if you really want some excitement, you get right next to the injection area and just woo.
It's raining.
Well, Wes had a good question. Before I get into that, James, the garlic jalapeno is a Heath Riles product. It's a Heath Riles garlic jalapeno product that he is a sponsor team for, I'm pretty sure. and it's
Yes.
it's a great product. So it'll work anywhere. So anyway, sorry, James asked that question. He's from Australia, so he's asking different stuff. Levi, how different is it at your altitude versus when you come to the south? With the temperatures and everything else that you're running?
Temperature's not so much, but you're finishing, we were in Lake City, stuff was finishing 210, 212. Colorado, it's finishing 202, 204. If you go up higher, farther in the mountains, you're not going to get above 200, and you just sit there and wait for it to break, and it'll either break or dry out, one of the two.
Nice, interesting. All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Wes, for the wonderful questions. Wes, we can always count on Wes to give us some good questions. All right, so we've gone through the process of rub, putting it on. Everything's right. Everything's the same. I've heard y'all talk about wrap. A couple people mentioned a wrap. So I'm glad y'all do that. What are you trying to accomplish when you go to a wrap? Is that only to speed up the process, or is that another way for you to layer flavors into the meat? Anybody? Levi, go for it.
I wrap. Okay, go ahead.
I wrap just to speed up the process and to keep things from burning. I'm not putting a lot of sugar. I'm not putting a lot of flavor in my wrap at all. It's probably half water, and the other half of it's Tennessee Red and some butter. I mean, realistically, or tangy Tennessee, but same concept. If I put too much in there, I just burn it.
Are you staying at 4 something when you wrap?
I stay at 425 all the way up to 1130-ish, and I cut it down to about 275 so I can start setting my sauce on my chicken. And that's the only reason I would be pulling pork at 1230 if I could, but I can't. I've tried sauce and chicken at that 425 and it doesn't work that well.
I imagine that'd be tough.
So you're wrapped at 400. You're wrapped at 400 degrees. Wow.
Yep.
But I think the interesting part, this is just me, the interesting part that I heard was he's putting water, mainly water, in his wrap with a little bit of vinegar-based sauce. That's
Water's only going to boil. It's not going to burn. It's going to boil. It's good. Right. Good idea.
Yeah. So it's interesting for me.
When you're at the altitudes in Colorado and
go ahead.
What I'm saying is when you're up here in Colorado, you can't get enough water in there, so it's kind of always just stayed that way. And when you're headed to other areas, I keep my stuff the same.
Awesome, John. You look perplexed.
400 degrees wrapped at 400. It's crazy. It's awesome. I've never been brave enough to go that high when I'm in the wrap. I feel like that's that point where things start to tear, but that's just fear. I've never taken the leap. So it's cool to hear about it being done.
So, it's funny when you say that. The other day we did a rib burn and I was messing around. I was doing stuff like this. I actually officially went to ribs on a drum also, and I finished them on my Traeger. So I wanted to try to do, more controlled temperature on the Traeger after they came off the drum to go wrap. So I'm like, I'll try 350. When I wrapped them, I ruined them. I burned them. The bottom of them, all the sugars in my wrap, it burned them. So, I mean, that was just a practice rack because I wanted to see how far I could push it before I go to use it. And I can't push it that far. So 400 degrees is pretty interesting. Well, like you said, with water, that makes a difference. I mean, that might make it very tender.
And he was mentioning less sugar too,
But 400 on a drum
yes. Mm-hmm.
versus an offset's two different temperatures. And I started cooking hot back in 2015 on homemade cans that you really couldn't control under 350, and I've just kind of kept that going. It's just how I've done it for the last 8 years.
Well, if that's something you're used to, that makes things like automatic.
The thing I love about Chewin the Barbecue Fat is y'all are all learning something. If you're not learning anything right now and you're watching this show, you're lying. Sorry. Because the reason I'm saying that is I'm looking at these three guys that are cooking, and they're all like, I'm learning something here. Their
wheels are turning. Like I'm like, well, we could use some water here. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
You better put some water on that damn shit.
And I'm sure that he's learned something too. I mean, you don't ever get it. You don't ever have it down. If you think you have it down, you don't. Anyway, this is awesome. Ercole, did you talk about your wrap process or what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, yeah, no, I could tell. I think I did. Did I or did not? No. Well, I just try to get it moist. My thing is moist and flavor. I try to get it to where I can work that the money muscle to where I need it to be, without going crazy over. I'm not sure what everybody's temperatures are shooting for. I do shoot for a temperature and then check. You know, I don't, like a lot of people go with the feel. I go with the feel after I hit a certain temperature. Then I start checking for feel. Because if not, I'd keep on opening a wrap and it would just and not cooking at 300 plus degrees, it loses all its, heat. Then I got to start all over again. So I kind of go for a temperature, hit that temperature in my mind. Well, my beeper will go off, and then I start probing for tenderness. It's like you say, everybody's different, but they're still the same. The same outcome is, the same light is at the end of the tunnel, but just everybody gets their little different way.
Yep. And there's not a right way of getting there, right? Just get there. We're going to get to that in a second. But so this is like, I am learning that I am doing nothing right in my pork process, which is crazy. But I love it. I think it's awesome. We're all here to learn, right? That's what gets us better. So anyway, all right. So we've talked about we've talked about the rubs. We've talked about the wrap. How do you know when it's done? Is there anything that you're looking for? A smell, a sight, the meat talking to you, whatever, that that meat's done? Ercole, you just said you're going to a temperature, and then from that temperature, you're going to a fill. Is anybody, John, what are you doing? What do you look? Go ahead, Ercole.
Well, 99.9% of the time for me, I'll go to we'll say 204. I'll start there, and it's usually never done at 204. Even though I go to check it, there's still the resistance after 204 is when I start checking. After that, it's never really done for me at 204, right around 205, 206 maybe. But I start doing that at 202 degrees is when I start probing things to make sure. And it's got to be smooth. It's just the feel's got to be, almost let it go and go. The probe goes in. That's the way I do it.
Yeah.
So for me, pork is like a timeline, kind of a timeline item. And when I hit 205 with Prairie Fresh Prime, and I load it with as much injection as I can, when I hit that number, I pull it out and I have a cooling process, and then I go into the hot box and I maintain, below 140 in my hot box throughout the rest of my cook. And that's just my process. I don't feel until I start cutting. And at that point I start rolling stuff out.
Awesome.
See, I don't even,
that's a disappointment.
So when he's talking, I don't even, after I get that temperature and I feel what I like to feel, I might not even open the wrap. I just put it, I don't even let it breathe. I just put it right in the hot box and let it sit in there. And knock on wood.
I don't put anything in the hot box until after it comes down to 190, except for ribs. But I feel like when I'm putting things into the hot box and it's still over 190 degrees, I'm just still cooking,
Love it.
But that's just me, because I use one Cambro for all meats. So if I have too much heat in there, it could be a bad thing,
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's all coming together.
Yeah, me too.
And then you're a 2-hour rest. Ercole, you said you're 45 minutes, and an hour, 45 minutes. And Levi, is there anything that
it all depends when it really gets done?
Okay, all right. I love it.
It all depends when it gets done. I'd like to be an hour, but sometimes it might be more. Sometimes it might be less.
Gotcha. Are you looking for anything, Levi, specific to, or are you looking? Are you feeling? Are you temperature? Are you pulling?
I'm feeling until I know it's close, and then I'm going right in my hot box. I try to keep everything off, so my brisket's off before my pork's starting to finish, just so I'm not opening the smoker lot and checking it all the time. So I'm rolling when it starts getting to feel close. I'm just, within a degree or two, I'll sight it in my Cambro, which is hanging in the 200 plus temperature all the time, at least. So it stays cooking as soon as it goes in the Cambro. And I'd say I've kind of mastered the process of letting stuff finish in the Cambro, just so I don't have to babysit and always remember to burp the Cambro or keep it below a certain temperature. So I come off just a little bit early and go into there and let it finish off.
That's awesome. I love it. I think it's
cool.
great. A lot of good information here tonight. Hope you're listening. Hope you're taking notes. All right. So now we get to the good part. Now we're to the point to where everybody wants to know what's going on. This is the part of the show that is that matters. So what we're about to get into now is where competition barbecue is where you win or lose. Levi Stokes is chasing the most miles traveled to a year. He's the man. Just getting in on the show. Well, just get here when you can.
18,000 so far this year.
18,000 miles. Ooh, Ercole, where are you at?
We just
There we go. Wait, would you say, Levi? You just did what? You just passed that? Can you hear me? Levi? John, can you hear me?
yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
You were going to say something. How do you keep your Cambro at 200 degrees? It was a question that was asked.
Because everything's coming off so hot. Because I run 2 briskets, the pork butts. I mean, you can't grab the aluminum pans with your bare hands or the hotel pans at all. So it's all staying in there and just staying hot.
Just going. All right, so here we go. All right, let's talk about once everything's done, it's off, it's in the box, it's in the Cambro. I'm assuming ribs are turned in. What's the process look like now? What are we doing on the cutting board that makes your barbecue better than everybody else's? Once again, don't tell me all your super secrets. You're where you're at for a reason. But if you can give some good ideas of what somebody could do on the cutting board to make their pork a step better than it was before they watched the show, that would be awesome. And I'll let anybody go first. Whoever y'all fight for it.
Well, I'll say I'll start off. The second the ribs leave is the second I pull out the pork butts. I mean, I got to process 6 of them. So the first thing I do is I drain all the packets, kind of like the barbecue league stuff, we drain all the packets into a separator, get all that fluid ready. Then I separate the money muscles from the rest of the pork. Then I get them all shaped up the way I need to get it shaped. I put them in a pan. I put some of the juice in there, barbecue sauce them up, some finishing dust, and in the back on the smoker to tack it up a little bit. Then I start processing all the bacon, the tubes, whatever else I think I might need out of these butts. Then I separate that and get that all doctored up, get that into the Cambro. I mean, into the smoker. And then I take out the money muscles and I figure out which ones I'm going to use for slices and chunks and whatever other item I'm going to try to make that day. And then I start cutting them, saucing them, finishing dusting them, and boxing them and getting them ready. And that's it. I mean, that's it, but it takes every bit of a half hour to do. Every bit of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pork is the longest process for me. Anyway, John, it sounds like you're ready. What you got?
And the messiest.
By far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very similar to what Ercole's doing. The whole process up until the point, we've got our money muscles separated off of our whole butts, and we kind of make a bath with all the jus that we strained off from those packets of the pork.
Mm-hmm.
And that jus becomes a very instrumental part of the rest of the boxing process. We have this thing that I saw. I'm gonna throw them under the bus. I saw Chunky Barbecue cleaning this thing. It's called a Proctor Selects or something like that. But it's this little pot that you can plug in and it'll just heat up any liquid that you put into it. It has a little
Yeah, we all
thermostat
got that.
controller on it, but it doesn't matter. As low as it goes, will boil whatever hot liquid you're already putting into it, but it keeps everything hot. And I think that wrap juice is just like a really instrumental part to my uh, boxing process, because I'll use that to really add fat, some tang, and some sweetness to everything. And then I really just start hammering it with the finishing dust. I don't think you could add enough in that amount of time. You could just sit there and just keep on grinding the finisher over our pork. Even though we used a lot of flavor, I still think it just can take as much as you can throw at it.
What are you trying to accomplish with that finishing dust? Are you trying to get your sweet, your heat, your savory, all the above?
I think most, I'm sorry, I don't know if you were asking me.
That was, yeah.
But I think most of the time I'm trying to get that pop that we were talking about earlier. And usually that pop is a little bit of heat, but it has to have enough salt to really, because a lot of that pork is not even getting rubbed. Any of that fat cap of bacon, any of that tube meat comes out, there's no rub on it. You got to hit it with salt. Like, that's where you start doing it. So I think salt is like probably 70% of what happens, and then 30% of that is heat. And then your sweets coming in, your saucing and your wrap process.
Right.
Definitely have to use salt. Salt is definite.
Yeah. Levi, what about you?
I'm starting with the monies, getting those processed out. Like Ercole said, with the time, I want to make sure those are good. If they're good, I usually stop there. If I'm ahead, then I'll start digging into the butts, or if I need it, if the monies aren't where I want them to be, I'll start digging into it. It just depends. I give them about 5-10 minutes to soak in that au jus still once I slice them up and start saucing them. And when it comes to finishing, a lot of it depends on where I'm at. I've learned some hard mistakes between California and Florida. Flavor, seasoning wise, temperature wise. Made us a costly mistake in Lake City where I usually don't taste my pork. I'll taste one bite, but I can tell if it's done when I'm cutting it. And I don't necessarily run on the hotter side, but it was hot. And the taste definitely reflected that, versus the sweetness that they like in the everybody in the Southeast likes, versus Colorado or anywhere else. So I've started kind of paying a little bit more attention to exactly what it tastes like and what finishing I'm putting on it. But yeah, I'm just kind of that sweet, salty heat depending on where I'm at, and just a little bit of flavor on it, and sending it.
Nice.
Send it.
Send it. What kind of sauce? What are you accomplishing with your sauce? I know, John, you said you're trying to get some of your sweetness out of your sauce. Or what about you, Ercole? Are y'all saucing it? Are you putting any kind of sauce? Is it a sweet sauce?
So it is a little sweet sauce. It has a little. It's not sweet, savory, I guess you could say. It's sweet and savory. A very light coat. I mean, because like I said, this year's everything's a little different. We've seen a lot of people get hammered for too much sauce on things, so real light coat of sauce on the face of it. And if I feel that it's not sweet enough, then I might even put a little bit of maple syrup on the front of it, just a little dab. But most of the time, it's that and a lot of finishing dust.
So finally,
the sauce, I want to offset all the heat. I want to offset the salt. I want to offset that, so you have a whole bunch of things happening in your mouth at the same time, and you bite that piece.
So 59 minutes and 42 seconds into the show, maple syrup comes up on the pork show. I'm surprised. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I'm surprised. I thought maple syrup would have been in there a lot earlier, but hey, Here we go.
They're all mad at me. Like, what'd you say that for? Stupid.
Yeah.
No,
What'd
no,
you tell us it for?
I actually have it throughout. I have it through my wrap and injection process. I definitely use that as my sweetness for my injection.
Yeah, I think it's great. Okay.
See, when people wrap, I don't know how most people wrap with their like if they put brown sugar in there and honey and all that other stuff. I don't do that. I mean, I have a different type of wrap I make. It's similar to that.
I use
but
brown sugar and
a lot of
maple.
What's that
mixtures
recipe,
and
Ercole?
in a blender.
Yeah, I'm getting my pen.
What's that recipe, Ercole? We're ready.
Listen. What I'm going to tell you is, I've said that during my class, and I've watched a lot of people succeed with that, and I'm happy about it and sad all at the same time. It's really strange.
It's awesome.
It's really strange.
You're a good teacher. That's great. All right. So, and then when you're
a fool.
No, not at all. So Levi, you said if your money muscles are good, you're going to stick with that. How many of y'all would turn in just 6 pieces of money muscle down the middle, just like we're starting to see a lot of these days?
I mean, at Iron Man, or if that's all you had. Yep.
I never had to do it.
I've had 2 first place boxes with 6.
So far, I was lucky enough
in it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right down the middle. Right down the middle.
Really?
Just 6 pieces. I love it.
Wow. That's awesome.
6 right down the middle.
I was lucky enough to never have to do that. I guess. Go ahead.
I think it comes down to some of that comes down to if it's a 6 best, and you're not sure that those chunks or that pull's equally as good. Now you've got a judge trying to decide back and forth, and my theories, let them try it, think it's good, and move on to the next thing. Let them critique between somebody else's 2 or 3 different meats and really think about it. I want them to try it, enjoy it, and forget me.
Love it.
Probably should do that. I probably should do that more often. I usually feel that I have to give them a selection of stuff, or they're going to beat me down. But that's I should.
Well, and I'm at every contest against Ercole, so I have to do the same thing.
I tried that. I used to always, in my mind, had a box built, and I would put what I thought was going to go in there the way it looked, and our scores weren't there. And my wife's like, "Quit doing that. You don't have to fill the box." And once I stopped, trying to put everything in there, scores went up.
It's funny you say that, because over the years I've seen pictures of boxes that look like straight bombs went off, get calls and win. And I'm like, boy, what am I wasting my time doing this for? I mean, I'm just now getting to the point where I don't spend 45 minutes making the boxes with greens, doing kale 45 minutes a box. I just stopped that over the last 2 contests. I'm like, I'm not doing it no more. I'm done. It's going to be very quick.
True.
Very,
It's true. I noticed that the last contest, it only took you 43 minutes. And I wanted to tell you, I'm really proud of you.
I cut it down a little bit. A lot of things in 2 minutes. If this was X-rated, I'd tell you.
Y'all are great. All right. So any other questions that y'all have for them? It's been a wonderful show. It's been a very informative show. Not where I thought we were going to go, but I love it. That's one thing I told every one of these guys, and they can attest to you. I said, and then Robert gets mad at me every time. I'm like, look, I don't have an agenda. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're gonna chew the barbecue fat, and we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna talk about pork, right? I said, is there anything you want to talk about or don't want to talk about? And that's it. That's what we do, right? This is what we come in. That's how we come in this show, and that's what we do. We get as much information out as we can, and it's been awesome. I think it's absolutely incredible. Nobody asked me a single pork question, so that means I got through the show without having to worry about anything. I did good, and I'm excited. So when y'all add maple syrup, are you adding any heat to your wrap for the sweetness? I think we've gone through a good bit of that. So anyway, all right. Anything else, Levi? Is there anything else y'all want to talk about? Anything else heard the pork that you think is important for people to know? Anybody?
I can.
Okay, you're good. John, what
We've
about
done
you?
a lot.
You know, I think we've covered a lot of the stuff. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right, so y'all collar cooks, pork collar cooks. Are you like when you have those collars? There's still part of the tube and a little bit of money and a little bit of the bacon left, correct? Are you trimming out that muscle, the money muscle, or are you leaving that collar with the tubes and everything else in it?
So I trim about 1 million of these a week, and I'm just going to tell you that there's a fat vein that runs along the side of the money muscle. If you can aim for that and follow that fat line down, or that vein down until you hit that seam that is actually covering the tube meat, so you kind of make a V cut in there. But you can almost take the pork butt, lay it on its side, kind of squat it down and go along the money muscle, and cut the top of it off, lay it back down, and you've done pretty much the whole job at that point.
Okay.
But I just want to say for the record, a pork collar and what we're doing, totally different things. A pork collar comes from up here, and what we're doing comes from up here, from here. So it's kind of a slang term. We're all throwing it around. It's cool, but we're cooking competition spec pork butts is what we're cooking. But we'll call them collars because shit, what else are we going to call it? It's competition pork butts. A lot of words, you know.
I got you. There you go. Thank you for the expert. We got the expertise from our butcher, and I appreciate that. You know, I'm learning here every day. So thank you all so much. How can people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you? If you want them to, is there a way they can? If you don't want them to, don't tell them. But if there is a way, John, is there a way of anybody get in touch with you if they'd like to?
Yep, the Optimus Swine 757 is our Facebook. Otherwise, look for Two Drummers Smokehouse or Two Drummers Butcher and Barbecue Provisions.
Perfect. Levi?
Colorado Bulldawg Barbecue on Facebook. Shoot me a message.
Awesome. My man Ercole?
Either Ercole Chila on Facebook or Uncle Pig's Barbecue Pit on Facebook or Twitter or any one of those sites.
So you're just a social media expert, Ercole. I love it.
No. Listen, if I didn't have 3 daughters, I wouldn't have to do any of this. I couldn't be on here. I had to be talking through my phone. This would be going through my phone and not no laptop. I'm
awesome.
old. I'm on my 50s, not as young as these other guys. I'm old fashioned. I'm going to put smoke.
Ercole's got a PR.
Signals out
Ercole's got a whole PR department.
He does.
My wife and my kids, yes, that's my PR department.
Yeah, don't mess with them.
No, sir. Do not. Y'all are awesome. Thank you for another wonderful show. Come back next week as we discuss brisket, the category, the winning category, the one that can generally put you over the top, brisket. Come back next week and you will be able to learn more and more and more. Y'all have a great week, and we will see you next week on Chewin the Barbecue Fat. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you, guys.